I like to call this my quick and easy oven chutney. It really couldn't be simpler, and will be the perfect partner to some oily salmon I've got tucked in the fridge. I'm using sweet shallots, but you could use small onions. I boil them for 10 to 15 minutes to soften them. It also makes the skins easier to get off. So I start my chutney recipe with some lovely soft brown sugar. It's usually a light muscovado, but you can use a dark one if you like a really rich chutney. You need a good 4 tablespoons. The sugar gives it a deep, rich base note, but that's not the only sweetness I'm going to use. Just stick some dried fruit in it. I've got raisins, I've got golden sultanas. You could use almost any dried fruit, like dried cranberries or even dried cherries. A few spices will balance the sweetness of the sugar and dried fruit. Allspice berries give warmth, and a sprinkling of mustard seed will give a lovely crunch. So that's the sweetness and the spice. I need a little bit of acidity in there. And for that, I'm using quite a bit of cider vinegar. Fruit vinegars tend to be quite mellow, so be generous. This chutney needs some extra savour, so a good handful of thyme is going in. Give it a generous seasoning before you put the onions in. You just need to squeeze them out of their skins. I want a hint of garlic too, so some whole cloves. Lastly, some cooking liquid from the onion water and some silky rapeseed oil. Olive oil will be just as lovely. It's a beautiful colour. I've got 3 tablespoonfuls of this. A good stir. That will need around an hour in a moderate oven. This is my kind of chutney making. I just have a quick look at it, just to see how it's coming along. Just a little taste. There's plenty of sweetness there and a little bit of spice, but I think it needs a little bit more punch. So I'm going to just put in a wee bit more vinegar. It's the bit I really like about cooking, when you actually make a recipe your own. And you think it needs a little bit more spice, a little bit more salt, a little bit more sweetening. And it's when you put your fingerprint on it. I reckon the sour fruit and vinegars will be perfect with this oily salmon. All it needs is a little seasoning and a trickle of oil. That should only need another 10 minutes before it's ready to eat. Smells very good. A little bit sharp, a little bit fruity. I'd be happy to eat it like that, but I always like a bit of green on the plate. So I'm just tempted to put a little bit of watercress on there too. I worried for a minute that the salmon wouldn't stand up to the pickle, but it so does. In fact, it's sensational. It really, really works. And a much better use for chutney than a ploughman's. It's a lovely little dish. It's the combination of the sweet dried fruits, silky onions, and sour vinegar that makes this simple chutney work. Put it with some juicy salmon or cold meat, and I promise you've got a truly divine supper.